Let me tell you something. You woke up this morning, but somebody didn't. You got to open your eyes, see the light creep into the room, feel that breath in your lungs. But for somebody else, yesterday was the last chapter. Their book closed. That's not something to feel guilty about, but it is something to feel responsible for. Every day is a gift, not a guarantee. And the question is, how are you doing with it? I remember my first big break in Hollywood. I was young, full of energy, full of myself. And an older actor, a man who had seen more, done more, been through more than I could imagine, pulled me aside. He didn't even raise his voice. He just looked me dead in the eye and said, "Son, you're talented, but you don't listen." Now, at the time, I thought I was listening. I could hear him, but I wasn't truly hearing him. See, there's a difference between letting sound pass through your ears and letting truth sink into your soul. And I was too busy thinking about my next line, my next move, my next moment to recognize he was handing me a piece of gold. I left it sitting right there in his hands. It took me years to understand that listening is a superpower. Not the kind they put in comic books or up on movie screens. No, this one's stronger. Because when you really listen, you start to see the cracks before things break. You start to hear the lessons before life has to teach them the hard way. Some of you in this room, you've got people warning you right now. They've been trying to get your attention for months. Friends, family, maybe even strangers. But you treat those words like background noise. You nod, you smile, you keep scrolling. But here's the truth. Life whispers before it shouts. It's gentle at first. A little tug on your conscience. A quiet sign in the middle of the day. That still small voice telling you, hey, change course. But if you keep ignoring the whispers, sooner or later, you'll hear the alarms. And alarms are loud, they're costly, and sometimes they're final. And I've learned something else. Who you listen to will decide where you go. If your ears are tuned into gossip, fear, and negativity, you will inherit gossip, fear. You'll start to carry it like luggage, and it will weigh you down until you can't even remember what it feels like to run. But if your ears are tuned into wisdom, faith, and vision, your life will start moving in a whole new direction. It's like music. Tune the station, and the song changes. So I'm telling you, don't waste your life scrolling past the very message you need to hear. Don't waste your life turning down the volume on the truth because it makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes the most uncomfortable words are the ones that will set you free. And for heaven's sake, don't wait until tomorrow to do what you can do right now. Tomorrow is a rumor. Today is real. Right now, you have breath, and with breath comes the ability to act. One day, your time will run out. The question is, when they read your story, will it be a story worth reading? Listen every day, learn every day, live every day. And whatever you do, don't waste your life. Let me tell you something. You woke up this morning, but somebody didn't. You got to open your eyes, see the sunlight slip through the blinds, hear the hum of life outside your window. You got another chance to breathe in the air, to think your thoughts, to move your body. But somewhere in this city, somewhere in this world, there's a bed that will never be slept in again, a pair of shoes that will never be worn again, a dream that will never be chased again. That's not something to feel guilty about, but it is something to feel responsible for. Every single day is a gift, not a given. It's not owed to you. It's not promised. It's placed in your hands. And the question you've got to ask yourself is, what are you doing with it? Are you using it or are you wasting it? I remember my first big break in Hollywood. Young, full of fire, full of dreams, and truth be told, full of myself. I thought I knew everything. And one day, an older actor, a man with wrinkles in his skin but wisdom in his eyes, pulled me aside. He didn't need to raise his voice because some voices carry power without volume. He looked at me, calm as the ocean before a storm, and said, "Son, you're talented, but you don't listen." Now, I swore I was listening. I could hear the sound of his voice, the words coming out of his mouth, but my mind was already racing to the next thing. My plans, my ideas, my version of the future. I wasn't really hearing him. I was letting sound pass through, not letting truth sink in. I walked away from that conversation carrying the same pride I walked in with and left the gold he was offering sitting right there in his hands. It took years and a few hard lessons to understand that listening is a superpower. And I don't mean listening for your turn to speak. I mean listening to understand. Listening so deeply that you can feel the weight of the words, hear what's not being said, and see the path they're trying to point you toward. Because when you really listen, you start noticing the cracks before they break the whole thing apart. You start learning lessons while they're still cheap, before life makes them expensive. Some of you right now, somebody's been trying to tell you something. Could be a parent, could be a mentor, could be that little voice inside you that you keep pushing aside, but you treat it like background music. You nod, you smile, and you go right back to your own noise. Here's the thing. Life doesn't start with alarms. It starts with whispers. Whispers in the form of quiet warnings, small nudges, those little gut feelings you try to shake off. But if you ignore the whispers long enough, they turn into shouts. And those shouts, they're painful. They're costly. And sometimes, and another truth I've learned, who you listen to will shape who you become. If you spend your life tuned into gossip, fear, negativity, that's what's going to take root in you. You'll carry it around like heavy luggage, and it'll slow you down until you forget what running feels like. But if you open your ears to wisdom, faith, vision, it's like changing the station on a radio. Suddenly, the soundtrack of your life changes, and so does your direction. So hear me when I say, don't waste your life skipping over the very message that could save you. Don't turn down the volume on the truth just because it makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes the most uncomfortable words are the ones that will set you free. And whatever you do, don't push it to tomorrow. Tomorrow's a rumor. Today is what you've got. This breath, this heartbeat, this moment, that's all that's real. One day, your time will run out and the page you're on will be your last. The question is, when someone reads your story, will they feel like it was worth reading? Listen every day. Learn every day. Live every day. And whatever you do, don't waste your life. Let me tell you something. You woke up this morning, but somebody didn't. You opened your eyes and watched light slip into the room. You heard the sound of life cars in the distance, birds calling out, a voice from the kitchen, maybe just the quiet hum of the world moving on. You got to breathe in air, maybe without even thinking about it. You got to feel the stretch in your arms, the ground under your feet. But somewhere out there, someone didn't get that chance. Somewhere, there's a bed that will stay cold forever, a phone that will never ring again, a pair of shoes that will never take another step, a dream that will never make it off the page. And that's not something to feel guilty about, but it is something to feel responsible for. Because it means that while they can't, you still can. Every single day is a gift, not a guarantee. It's not written in stone. It's placed in your hands, quietly, without a receipt. And the question is, what are you doing with it? Are you using it with purpose? Or are you letting it slip through your fingers like water you didn't even notice was running? I remember my first big break in Hollywood. I was young, hungry, fired up, and if I'm being honest, too full of myself. I thought my talent was enough. I thought my drive was enough. I thought my way was the way. Then one day, an older actor, a man who had lived longer, fought harder, and learned deeper than I could imagine, pulled me aside. No cameras, no crowd, just me and him. He didn't shout. He didn't have to. Some people's voices carry weight without raising a single decibel. He looked me right in the eye and said, "Son, you're talented, but you don't listen." Now, in my head, I was listening. I could hear him. I could process every syllable, but I wasn't hearing him. Not in my heart, not in the place where truth changes you. My mind was already halfway to the next thing, the next role, the next line, the next scene. And because of that, I walked away holding on to my pride and left the gold he was trying to give me sitting right there in his hands. It took years and more than a few bruises for me to understand that listening is a superpower. And I'm not talking about listening to reply. I'm talking about listening to understand. Listening so deeply that you can feel the weight of what's being said, hear the pain or the hope that lives between the words, and recognize when somebody is giving you a shortcut to wisdom you haven't earned yet. Because when you really listen, you start catching the cracks before they break everything apart. You start collecting lessons while they're still cheap, before life charges you the full price in pain and regret. Some of you right now, you've got people speaking into your life. They've been dropping hints. They've been giving warnings. They've been offering advice. Maybe it's a parent. Maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's that little whisper in your own spirit that you've been ignoring because it doesn't fit the plan you had in your head. And what do? You treat it like background music. You nod, you smile, you keep scrolling, you keep moving. But here's the truth. Life doesn't open with alarms. It starts with whispers. Soft, almost ignorable whispers. A quiet warning, a small nudge, that feeling that says, "This isn't right. Turn around, slow down." But if you keep ignoring those whispers, sooner or later, they turn into shouts. And shouts are loud. Shouts shake your world. Shouts can cost you money, opportunities, relationships, even your life. And sometimes those shouts don't leave room for a do-over. And another thing I've learned, who you listen to will shape your future. If you fill your ears with gossip, fear, and negativity, don't be surprised when that's all you carry. You'll lug it around like a bag of bricks, and every step will feel heavier until you forget what it's like to run free. But if you fill your ears with wisdom, faith, vision, it's like tuning a radio to a new station. Suddenly the music changes. Suddenly the rhythm of your life changes. And so does your destination. That's why I'm telling you, don't waste your life skipping over the very message you were meant to hear. Don't turn down the volume on truth just because it makes you uncomfortable. Some truths sting. Some truths make you squirm. But those are the ones that can break your chains. And please don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is a rumor. Today is the reality. This breath you're taking right now, that's the only guaranteed moment you have. This heartbeat, this chance. One day, it will stop. And when it does, The page you're on will be your last. And when someone reads your story, the question will be, was it a story worth reading? Listen every day. Learn every day. Live every day. And whatever you do, don't waste your life. Let me tell you something. You woke up this morning, but somebody didn't. You opened your eyes, and the world was still here. You saw the sunlight slide across the wall, maybe caught the smell of coffee drifting through the air, maybe heard the sound of a loved one's voice or the laughter of a child. You got to take that first deep breath, maybe without even thinking about it. You had the choice to step into this day, to move, to speak, to act. But somewhere, in some house, there's a bed that will stay cold forever. There's a chair that will never be sat in again. There's a name that will never be called out again. There's a dream that will never see the light of day. That's not something to feel guilty about, but it is something to feel responsible for, because it means you still have something someone else ran out of time. Every single day you wake up is a gift, not a guarantee. It's not something you're owed. It's placed in your hands like a treasure, without a receipt, without a warning of when it will be taken back. And the real question is, what are you doing with it? Are you spending it like it matters? Or are you letting it slip away like spare change you never noticed was gone? I remember when I got my first real break in Hollywood. I was young, hungry, fueled by ambition, and, if I'm honest, a little too sure of myself. I thought I was ready for the world. I thought talent was enough. Then one day, an older actor, a man whose eyes carried decades of stories, pulled me aside. We weren't on stage. We weren't on camera. Just me and him. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. Some voices are so grounded, they can speak at a whisper and still be heard over a crowd. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Son, you're talented, but you don't listen." Now, I thought I was listening. I could hear the sound of his voice. I could repeat his words back to him, but I wasn't hearing him in the way that changes you. My mind was racing ahead, thinking about my next move, my next scene, my next opportunity. I left that conversation with the same pride I walked in with, and left the wisdom he was offering lying right there between us. It took me years and some hard lessons to understand that listening is a superpower, not the kind you read about in comic books. This one is more powerful than that, because when you truly listen, you start to see the cracks before things break. You start to notice the signs before they turn into problems you can't fix. You learn lessons while they're still affordable, before life charges you interest in pain, regret, and lost time. Right now, there's somebody in your life trying to tell you something. They might not say it in a way that's easy to hear. It could be a mentor, a parent, a friend, or that little voice inside your own heart. And yet, you treat it like background noise. You nod, you smile, you keep scrolling, you keep moving. But here's the truth. Life doesn't start with alarms. It starts with whispers, gentle nudges, that soft, almost ignorable voice that says, "Hey, slow down. Hey, turn back. Hey, this isn't right." And if you keep ignoring those whispers, sooner or later, they turn into shouts. And shouts are loud. Shouts are messy. Shouts shake your whole world. And sometimes those shouts don't leave space for another chance. I've learned something else. Who you listen to will shape who you become. If you spend your life tuned in to gossip, fear, and negativity, don't be surprised when those are the seeds that take root in you. You'll carry them like a weight on your back, and they'll slow you down until you forget what it feels like to run free. But if you choose to listen to wisdom, to faith, to vision, everything changes. It's like tuning a radio. The music changes, the beat changes, the direction of your life changes. And that's why I'm telling you, don't waste your life skipping past the very message you were meant to hear. Don't turn down the volume on the truth because it makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes the truths that sting the most are the ones that will set you free. And don't push it to tomorrow. Tomorrow is just a rumor. Today is what you have. This moment, the breath in your lungs, the beat in your chest, this is all that's guaranteed. And one day, it will stop. And when it does, the page you're on will be the last one you ever write. And when someone reads your story, they'll ask themselves, was it worth reading? Let me tell you something. You woke up this morning, but somebody didn't. Your eyes opened, the light crept in, and the day unfolded before you like a blank page. Maybe you heard the soft rhythm of rain against the window, or the sizzle of breakfast on the stove, or the laughter of a child down the hall. Maybe you didn't notice any of it because you were already thinking about the rush of the day, but it was there. It was all there, waiting for you. Somewhere else, in another room, another city, another part of the world. Someone didn't get that. Their eyes didn't open, their hands didn't move, their voice will never speak another word. Their dreams, whatever they were, stopped right where they were last night. That's not something to feel guilty about, but it is something to feel responsible for, because it means you still have something they no longer do. You still have a chance. You still have time. Every single day you're alive is a gift, not a promise. You don't own it, you can't buy it back. And once it's gone, you can't negotiate for one more minute. It's in your hands now. And the question is, how will you spend it? Will you use it like it matters? Or will you let it slip away, unnoticed, like coins falling out of a hole in your pocket? I remember my first big break in Hollywood. Young, fired up, sure of myself, too sure. I thought talent was enough. I thought energy was enough. Then one day, an older actor, a man whose eyes told more stories than his words, pulled me aside. No crowd, no cameras, just me and him. He didn't have to raise his voice. Some people carry a presence that commands silence. He looked straight at me and said, "Son, you're talented, but you don't listen." And I thought I was listening. I heard the sound of his voice. I could have repeated his words back to him, but I wasn't hearing him. I wasn't letting those words settle into the part of me where change happened. My mind was already somewhere else, thinking about my next move, my next line, my next scene. I left that moment holding on to my pride and left the treasure he was offering sitting there between us. It took me years and some painful lessons to understand that listening is a superpower. Not the kind you see in the movies. The real kind. The kind that can save you from mistakes before you make them. That can show you the cracks before the wall comes down. That can teach you lessons while they're still cheap, before life makes you pay full price. Some of you right now, you've got people trying to tell you something. It might be a mentor. It might be a friend. It might be that little voice in your heart that you've been trying to drown out because it's not telling you what you want to hear. But you treat it like background noise. You nod, you smile, you keep scrolling. Life doesn't start with alarms. It starts with whispers, little nudges, gentle warnings, those quiet moments when something deep inside says, pay attention. But if you ignore the whispers long enough, they turn into shouts. And shouts are loud, they're messy, they shake everything. And sometimes they're final. And I've learned something else. Who you listen to will shape your future. If you give your ears to gossip, to fear, to negativity, don't be surprised when that's what fills your heart. You'll carry it like a weight on your back, and it'll slow you down until you forget what freedom feels like. But if you give your ears to wisdom, to faith, to vision, everything changes. The direction changes. The destination changes. The soundtrack of your life changes. So hear me now. Don't waste your life skipping over the message you were meant to hear. Don't turn down the truth because it stings. The truth that stings is often the truth that frees you. And don't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow is a rumor. Today is the only guarantee you have. This moment, this breath, this heartbeat, that's what's real. One day, all of it will stop. And when it does, the page you're on will be the last one you write. And the question will be, was it worth reading? Listen every day. Learn every day. Live every day. And whatever you do, don't waste your life. So I'll leave you with this. Every sunrise is an invitation to listen more than you speak, to act while you still have the strength, to give more than you take, and to live in such a way that when your book closes, people will want to read it again. Don't get so busy chasing what doesn't matter that you miss the whispers of what does. Don't get so distracted by the noise of the world that you can't hear the voice that's been trying to guide you all along. You have breath right now. You have a heartbeat right now. That means you have a choice right now. And that choice, what you do with it, is what will define you. So listen, learn, live, and when your time comes, let it be said that you didn't just exist, you made it count. Don't waste your life.